Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a video update this week for my article here on things I wrote down. Thanks to all my subscribers. I so appreciate your support. It's amazing to have you reading along with me as I create and explore ideas. Now, I can't believe that I'm already 20 weeks into writing my new series, The 49. This is one of the creative projects for 2025 that I am emphasizing, and I'm creating it week over week. I love what Charles Dickens did. He's one of my favorite authors. I've read a lot of his work, and he really inspired me as a young writer. And way back in the day, he would release content in newspapers week over week. Stories like A Tale of Two Cities, which was my favorite book of his, were written in that way. And so audiences got a portion and they could buy it on the cheap. And I really love that concept, and I think it's such an interesting creative challenge. And so that's what I've done with the 49. I almost couldn't sleep at night. Have you ever had this with a creative project or a creative idea where you just can't get it out of your mind? I couldn't sleep. I almost had trouble paying attention in conversations when I was talking with people because this was always on my mind. So it's almost a cathartic experience for me to just be releasing this material, and I'm loving it. It's been a fun challenge, and it's kind of intense because every week I have a deadline to create original new content, but I'm really enjoying it. What is it all about? It's a supernatural political thriller that takes place in the not too distant future. And to be honest, it's feeling like the story is actually ripped out of tomorrow's headlines. It's eerily prophetic, I guess I could say. And it really looks at what happens in the presidency of the 49 and beyond. So, this is the premise. 49 is a big number, obviously. You can probably deduce that from the title. 49 is the last president inaugurated in the United States. It's also the span of terrible days after the global comms blackout when the world was reshaped. There's 49 strange supernatural phenomena that appear globally all around the world. They're like geographic areas where this thing called the Foz comes down. And it's like the northern lights in some areas, but physically present. And there are these regions all over the earth. And it's also the new power center in the global north on the 49th parallel. So the 49, that number features heavily in the series. There's a star base that had smashed in Buffalo Jump that brings people off world to Mars. There's a crazy special ops that takes place during the blackout that removes all of the world's nuclear weapons, something that was key after the bomb went off in Paris in the series. And billionaires in the walled off parts of the world have fiefdoms, and they basically rule and control the world. There's Corridor West, which was is behind a concrete and drone wall that spans from California to what used to be Alberta. It protects key resources like oil and minerals, lumber. And there's an eastern corridor in the north that is kind of from the Great Lakes is a natural barrier, and also like Toronto and the GTA, and it goes down to the coast of New York. And that's a key area where tech, minerals, and water are behind a big concrete and drone and robotic wall. And then there's other corridors that emerge around the world, the new Soviet corridor, Afrique, and Asia Minor. Some really cool characters are emerging as I write week over week. One is named Boyer. She's one of the main characters. I'm really loving exploring her and developing her character. She arrived in what used to be Hobima. She was trafficked from Guatemala on the Beast, that terrible, dangerous train that brought so many people across or up to the southern border during the presidency of 46 when people knew that there was still an opportunity to slip through. She's taken under the wing as a young girl by the Bishop of Maskwacis, who helped build a community of really unlikely people from around the world in what used to be Western Canada and the United States. This area has good greenhouses, ground and well water, and it implements an effective crop rotation system during 48's first term that revitalizes the land. The unique arrangement is like a collaboration between the Hutterites and the Cree from that region. Boyer is a character in the series, and she's like an emissary between Corridor West and the Foz at Maskwacis. It's this geographical area near Highway 41, or sorry, Highway 611 in Alberta, where God's glory is basically physically present, but people don't really understand it, especially from the outside, and especially the governor. But all around the world, as these billionaire fiefdoms emerged, and as high tech droids, AI really start to uh, overtake the world, there's this event that's referred to in the series called the humbling, because they try to like control these FAWs, these kind of supernatural, unexplicable geographic regions where the glory is present. And there's a great humbling because none of the surveillance, none of the tech can get beyond or within the boundaries. And so the Bishop of Masquitches is a key character. He helps to create the new Eden in this part of the world, where people from all walks of life come and can find refuge. And so that's going to be a fun part of the series, to really explore what happens there, what that means, does the glory of God fall like this? And in between all this darkness, where the walled cities are pretty safe and pretty high tech, and you can kind of make away with life, there's like militias and all this vying for power between that and the FAWs. So it's a really interesting way to look at some deep theological concepts and some supernatural ideas. Now, before he died, this bishop, he passes the torch to an unlikely character. And the bishop, we don't know the full story yet, but the bishop has some relationship with the governor. And I'm excited to reveal what happens in that storyline. But the governor who kind of rules the Corridor West is a villainous character, but he's also faulted, but also kind of sympathetic. And I hope I can pull those strings and those threads out well. But the bishop hands the torch, and in this case, the crucifix, which identifies him as the bishop, to Diaz. Now, he is a former journalist who had a popular Substack called Collars and Crimes. He was doing exposés on pedophile priests, the church burnings across Canada, and things like that. And he connects with the Bishop of Masquatchis on a really special trip as an envoy to Paris when the Cathedral of Notre Dame was rebuilt. In this series, that cathedral and all of Paris is wiped out in the backstory by a suitcase nuke. But they connected at that revitalization of Notre Dame, and through the stories that he wrote to protect children and to call out evil clergy. So he kind of is anointed or put forward as this new priest, and unexpectedly he delivers last rites in the game, which is a popular game show in this world that really serves as a way to keep everybody in line. Law and order is primary and is so key in this new post-government, post-apocalyptic reality. And the game is like kind of like a combination of the Hunger Games and Running Man, if you know that Arnold Schwarzenegger film, in which contestants either live or die, and the voting public chooses who that is, and everyone in the game is accused of a crime. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong in a situation like that. But Diaz, this new bishop, delivers last rites on the TV show, and he's this good-looking guy. He's got great abs, and that they feature also in the series. So go check that out. That's, I think, the third part, to give you a sense of like how the confession goes down, what happens within it. And what's interesting is, or what I love, is that all of that was kicked off by this story. Can you see it? Which I've published the backstory, which is now available on Amazon. And if you were one of my original subscribers to things I wrote down, this is one of the first things I posted on my Substack. So if you have paid access, if you're a paid subscriber, you can actually access all this story content right now on things I wrote down. But Contesting is like the origin story or the prequel to this whole series. It kind of kicked it off, and it's the story of a man and a woman who wake up in a room. They have no memory of who they are or how they got there. And as they start to dialogue, faint memories of their common past come to light, and these strange objects appear. And those things are the evidence for the trial that they discover is ongoing live on camera as their memory and the drugs wear off, and they start to tell their narrative. And as they piece together their history, they remember the tragic events of the outside world. They discover their common past and why they're there as contestants on this game show. So Diaz, the new bishop, he delivers last rites on the show. And Jonas, one of the main characters, who isn't named in this book, but was named in this series, he is featured also in the 49. So I got to be honest, I'm having a good time, but it's also a little terrifying because there's a deadline every week. I'm trying to find the right rhythm of how to write this in the midst of my busy life. There's a lot going on, but it's for me, it's a joyful thing and it's an exciting challenge. And I hope it inspires you to create, to take a risk, and also to read along. I would love it if you check it out. Um, I started to write it in batches, and some weeks I'm just like white knuckling it right to the deadline on a Monday night. I think I've only missed 1 week, but I took it. I took off Victoria Day. I just like needed to take the time, so I decided not to put one out into the world. But I'm kind of getting ahead of a schedule, so I can write it a week or so I have a little bit more control of the narrative, so I can provide the best experience for my readers. And I'm just so grateful to everyone who's subscribed so far. Every Monday, paid subscribers get the content first, and then that content is released on Friday for free subscribers. So whether you pay or you don't, you get the content, and I'm so grateful to offer that to you. I'm grateful if you're a paid subscriber, and grateful if you're a free subscriber. And the paid pitch is that you're basically getting a novel written in real time, and you get to be the first to support that. And I'm just so grateful to all my paid subscribers. Tuesday I release an audio version, and it's a little bit behind, but that gives me some time to like create the content. So it rolls out, and I do some uninterrupted or unabridged posts. So like every 4 or 5 audio versions, I drop like 30 minutes of content. So if you like to listen to story as you drive or as you go about your day, you can listen to longer form content, and you can get that wherever you subscribe to your favorite podcast on whatever platform. And you can also listen to it directly at the49.substack.com. And just as a thank you to all my subscribers, today I want to offer a 30-day free trial. So if you want to just like get the story first on Mondays, you can access that for the next 30 days or whenever you sign up for that. So there's a link in my bio here. So go check it out. I'm leaving an exclusive passage here. So if you're watching this video, you've gotten some interesting backstory. I hope it kind of intrigues you and makes you want to go check it out. And I'll give an exclusive passage of one of my favorite moments that I've written recently for the series. So this is a great time to jump in. I so appreciate the people who started with me from the start, because it's like, what am I getting into? We were discovering that together. But now you'll have a better sense now that there's 20 basically episodes released. You can really catch up if you like to read all your content in one shot. You can read 20 parts and be caught up, and then join the adventure as I kind of roll it out over the next couple of weeks. Other than that, I just wanted to give that update. I'm so grateful to you as my subscriber. Thanks for being part of things I wrote down. I love just engaging words, exploring things, exploring deep concepts together, the creativity of it, the faith of it, the excitement of being alive and having freedom to explore ideas. And it's such a privilege. I'm glad that we can do that together. So please drop a comment, continue to engage. I'd love to hear what you're thinking of the writing. If you have any recommendations or hopes of places that I would go or topics that I'd cover, I'd really appreciate that for things I wrote down. And hey, for the 49, if you got some great links, some interesting ideas, or like, hey, have you thought of that? Let me know, because I'm always open to feedback. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk again soon.